Mute until you do so.
Hey, how you doing, everybody? Martin Lopez. Friday night, we're in the COVID, and thought it'd be great to have another show. Tonight, the show is entitled "A Curious Journey into Spirit Guides." One of the things I thought about, it's like a natural curiosity for people to wonder, is there more to the universe than just us humans? Are there other beings out there? Are there other entities, right? Beyond this question, people ask, other life? Is there life on other planets? Are there people on Mars? Are there people in other universes, right? And the natural progression of that is to wonder if you have a spirit, you have a spiritual helper, a guardian who looks after you to make sure that you're safe and secure. And if so, why are they there? Like, why are they there? How do you communicate with them? What are they there to do for you? And how do they help you? How can you get a spirit, if you have one, a guardian to help you? Now, for years, I've had these types of conversations with friends of mine. I have a lot of friends that are tapped into this world. Sometimes I have a client that'll come in and they'll have questions. They'll talk about this kind of stuff, and I really enjoy that. But I know so little about this, but I'm always curious. So tonight I brought several friends along to hang out with us and share what they know. And I hope you hang out with us as well. So let me bring on all my friends. How you guys doing?
Hello. Being well.
So how about if we take just a couple of minutes and everybody introduce themselves? We'll start with Kimiko. Tell us a little bit about you, and then we'll just keep building the conversation from there.
Wonderful. Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. My name is Kimiko Ray Vision, also known as the Angel Warrior, and I help artists, entertainers, and entrepreneurs connect with their guardian angels so that they can be ready for the miracles that they've been praying for. That's me.
That's awesome. How about Payam? How about you, buddy?
Hello, everyone. My name is Payam Hagani, and I'm a leadership and executive coach. My business is called The Gap Coaching because I love to support people bridge the gap of where they are and where they want to be, helping CEOs, managers, and it's been quite a journey to get into self-awareness and spirituality. So I'm really blessed to be part of this conversation.
Awesome. Aaron and Veronica, how you guys doing? How about Veronica first?
Hi, I'm Veronica Mendez Garcia, and I just love this topic that you have tonight because I have so many experiences that have happened to me that I would love to share, and just awesome topic. So thank you so much.
And I'm Dr. Aaron Garcia, and what Veronica and I do together is we help people to find out what holds them back in different areas of their life, and we help people to uproot and let go of emotional stuff that they've gone through, different experiences that now dictates what they're doing today. And when we are able to do that, they can create balance in their life and actually start going from within and listening to that intuition and start creating what they want to do in their life and what they love.
That's awesome. We got Rohit who just popped in. Rohit, how about telling us all about yourself and what you do? And
I work as a spiritual counselor, director, and I support people in being able to really connect with themselves. For me, it's the awakening process that I work on and helping people come to a place of self-awareness, really listening to that inner voice, being able to connect with the divine. This is, it's a powerful path, and I love doing it. And I've written books. Loving Soulfully is one of them. God, You Sexy Devil is another one. And,
I love that. God, You Sexy Devil. We're going to do a whole thing on Loving Soulfully on Monday, but tonight we're going to be talking about spirit guides.
All right.
And one of the things that Rohit, I've known Rohit for years, and when I talked about spirit guides, say we're going to talk about spirit guides. Rohit's like, "Are you ready for me? I got something to say."
Something that isn't going to agree with everything, so be ready.
Well, why don't we start there? What the heck? What did you? Yeah, you had something to say. I don't know if you've been preparing it, but I'm just dying to hear what it was. So
it's been a lifetime of preparing, my friend.
I love it.
Yeah.
So Sharmith, what was that? What were you going to talk about? What did you have to say about spirit guides, about the whole journey, about, you said, what you like the awakening process, the inner voice, and, connecting with the divine. Those are, three amazing things to talk about. Let's talking about connecting with the divine. What does that mean? What does that mean to you?
So to me, it's been a long search trying to find out what that really means. What is the source of everything? Where do we all come from? Studying different religions, studying different paths, having gone astray on some of them and having learned lessons the hard way. I found that after reading much, having gone to gurus, having gone to mystics, having read the books and gone to the workshops, I found something that was more powerful than all of that combined. And that was the ability, which took a long time to get to, and a lot of took a while of fumbling my way through, because people don't normally talk about this so much. But it's learning to quiet that inner voice and listen. Quiet the mind and listen to the inner voice. And then I began to ask, I said, you know what, the mystics of the past, they were able to talk to God. They were the apostles, they wrote books and stuff like that. Why can't I do that? Why can't you do that? Why can't any of us do that, right? So I said, okay, let me reach out. And I started asking questions and I started getting answers. But I wanted to know, what is this voice I'm listening to? Is this some alien voice? Is this some spirit guide? Is this some, I don't know, something else? But because I was reaching out to the highest source, it identified itself as such and said, I am that which you are calling out to. I am that highest source. I am God, that which you call God. And then began a fascinating conversation. Now, I'd love to hear other people's experiences.
Can I stop you right there? That's really beautiful. Yeah. And I may have more to say, but I'm going to ask everybody else to contribute to that. That's a really great place to start. Yeah. And I would keep saying your name, Kimiko. Lots of E's. Kimiko.
Indeed. I like to say the key to me is your company, Kimiko.
Wonderful.
That's beautiful. How do you relate to the divine?
Oh, yeah. So I love what you said. I was comparing it today. One of the things that I like to say, I just got this really awesome pen that has like a jewel on the top. And for me, I say that the divine is like this beautiful diamond that cultures and religions from all over the world, where we get to gaze at this beautiful diamond, and it's faceted in all these different ways. And the divine light that flows through it and comes out is like sparkling out in different directions. And here we are all over the globe going, wow, look at that. And then we're just trying to describe it to one another. And we're like, I wrote it down in a book. Do you guys want to hear about this? Yeah, that's right. So that's how I relate to the divine. It's just a really loving presence that, arguably our human minds cannot necessarily wrap all the way around what it is. So that's why I love that there's so many people that can come together and revel in it.
That's awesome. It's like words never do it justice, do they?
Right.
Yeah. How about you, Payam? How do you connect with and relate to the divine?
The beauty of this path, it is that it's different for everyone. And I see that in an intellectual level, we try to fight, we try to prove that mine is better, my book is better than yours, my religion. We forget the core value of oneness, of having empathy, of understanding the creator and the universe. So for me, when I moved to US 5.5 years ago, I had lots of ups and downs on my spiritual path. But the beautiful part of it was that I was out of Iran. That is not a Islamic, country and Islamic mindset anymore. So I could be open to everything else. And then I started going to churches and going to synagogue and hanging out with the spiritualists and kind of like to my level, studying religions. And I got to the point that it's all one. It's just a lose-lose game. It's a hollow game that we play to win each other on it. For me, divine means getting out of myself. The image that I have created of who I am, everything outside of that is divine.
That's awesome.
And it's a pretty amazing journey, because this quarantine time, I'm not worried at all, because I'm surrendering to what's out of my control, and that is the divine. I believe there is intelligence, there's an intention behind all of it. That's how I relate to it.
That's awesome. Did Aaron and Veronica, did you guys talk about that? You haven't.
No, not yet.
No.
Yeah.
Martin, you're receiving messages. You're not here.
Well, when I was 2 and 3 years old, I had a what people would say a near-death experience where I drowned and I was underwater 2-3 minutes, maybe longer, I'm not sure. And my dad was the one that took me out of the pool. And, you know, for a little toddler to be underwater for that long, they would either be dead, have brain damage, you know, something would be wrong, and nothing happened. And I felt a sense of peace when, I guess, just being under the water. And, you know, there was different things that happened throughout my life that I felt like I was protected. But the way I see it, it's like we're all part of this big body of water, and each one of us are like little drops of water. And then we appear to be separate, but then when we pass and we reunite again, and we all go back to that same body of water.
And I think in my experience, because it's fascinating over the last few years, I was raised in this very intellectual mind, and you know, we all go through our ups and downs and challenges, and it's interesting how something always I always feel now that something gravitates us to where we're asking for more guidance, we're asking for something better, and it's always pushing us down a road. And sometimes, just like what's going on in this world, something has to shake us up to get us to see the bigger picture. Veronica's really one that brought kind of the spirituality into my life, because I started to see how she was so in tune with people, how she can feel their bodies, she could feel their emotions, that just by walking by them. And I saw it to believe it. And then as we started to do more understanding, studying, like we talked about going to the mind, and as I started studying more about the mind, it kept taking me back more into the spiritual concepts. And it wasn't until we started doing meditation, and I started to have my own experiences, call it that higher voice, higher power. Sometimes I would see images, sometimes random times. It was fascinating. And I find that there's always that sense of peace when I reconnect to it. I feel more joyous. When I disconnect from it, I find I'm like trying to struggle through things. And when I connect to that, it's like, and I meditate, it's like everything just calms down. My mind, my body calms down. And I think that's where we all come from. We're all searching for that love and that peace. And when we disconnect from that, that's when we find that there's something wrong here. We may not know what that is. At least this is from my experience of it. And I know that there's something greater than me, greater than us. But I also know that I'm a part of it, and we're all a part of that, because I can start to feel that as well. So that's been my journey with it. I'm still learning, because there's always more to learn.
That's cool. Rohit, you were taking it into it also, and I cut you off, so I wanted to have you continue. I just wanted what you said, I wanted to make sure that we all kind of added our version of, you know, whatever we're kind of talking, and then we'll go from there, if that's cool.
Absolutely, yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I wanted to get everyone's input as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
And perhaps their experience with spirit guides. I'd love to know more about that.
Definitely. We're definitely going to go in there. I just kind of want to get a foundation of where we're talking, and we'll go from there. I'll just kind of throw in mine. So with the whole thing about like the divine, for me, I've never been very much of a religious person or a real spiritual person. I've never had like a deep desire, but it's always been like something that's always knocked on the door. Like, you know, like things just happen, and I really don't know how to explain those kind of things. So that's why I enjoy this conversation, because it helps me put into perspective more of what's kind of in my practical mind. I have kind of more of a practical mind, and so to talk to you guys, it helps me put it more into perspective. It helps me get more connected with it. So I appreciate this. I'm looking forward to learning a lot today. So thank you. Go, Rohit.
My biggest question to someone who approaches spirit guides is why. What is it you're really looking for? And when I have asked people this question, and it may be different for those of you that are here, the people I have asked say it's because they want guidance in their life. They want to know how to live, what to do, the problems of their life. They want to resolve things. They want to find solutions. And so they've heard of this thing called spirit guides. And so they reach out to them. My objection to this group of people is, how do you know what you're reaching out to? How do you know what you're getting at the other end of the line? Right? And maybe we could start off with just this question. Why do you reach out to spirit guides? What's the benefit? And then we can perhaps take it from there. What do you think?
I'll start with that. For me, it's kind of, I think I said, kind of like a spiritual cheerleader. I just always find it powerful for me to seek information that's not happening here. It just seems to me like there's a lot of energy, a lot of information that's outside of me, that when I tap into it, that it then shows up inside of me. Yeah. And that's for me, that would be my why. Like, why would I do that? Because sometimes you need to ask people for help. That's kind of how I look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that for myself, the concept of angels is something that I find to be very comforting. And I think it is wise to also ask exactly who you're connecting with. I think that I was sharing about, I love connecting people with their guardian angels. And in my travels and the conversations that I've had with people, I remember one distinct conversation where I was like, "Oh, angels, yay." And she was like, "Oh, that really scares me." And I was like, "What scares you about a guardian angel?" And she said, "Well, what are they protecting me from?" And I was like, "Whoa, I never thought about it that way."
I never thought about it that way.
Payam.
I'm going to go to Aaron. Aaron, go ahead. I'm going to ask you to think about it before, because
I have an answer.
Okay.
I feel like I was not looking for a spirit guide. Spirit guide was looking for me because of the pain and sorrow that I went through to my level. For someone else, it might be their comfort zone. Then it was kind of like a shock. It was kind of like an earthquake. Oh, okay. Wake up. And then I started reading Rumi and then practicing meditation more and more. And then I felt connected with my heart and intuition, and that's where I get the messages. I don't necessarily see things or hear things, but I meditate and I feel it inside, or a great idea just pops up in my mind. I know it's not coming from information, it's coming from inspiration. So I'm connecting to spirit and it's inspiring me. So it's a beautiful journey. Like, even talking about it, it just lights me up.
Yeah, I heard what you said. I think I heard what you said, and I may have missed it, but I didn't hear the why. Like, why? And I like that question. So, like, why are you looking for a spirit guide? Like,
because I want to experience life in a deeper version. I don't want to stop in the surface one that society or TV or this book or that person tell me what to do or how to be. I want to go deeper and find my own path. That's my mind.
Got it. Cool. Aaron and Veronica?
All right. So, like, for me, like, my first experience, like I mentioned, when I was 2 and 3, it was like I wasn't searching for them, but it was like they were there helping me. Like, when Kimiko, when she mentioned, like, what are they protecting you from? In my case, it was from drowning, because it wasn't my time. And I still have other, things that I need to do here. So it was like they were there to protect me from crossing over or whatnot. But that's how I see it. Like, otherwise I wouldn't be here if I wasn't protected. And yeah, go ahead.
So you're not necessarily looking for them. They found you and they're kind of sticking with you. Is that
in that first incident, I would say they were just there helping me. And
and from now on, like from this point on, like, how are you relating to that? Like, why are you looking from this point on?
Well, I just had this knowing that there's always like someone there, even though, with your eyes, you can't see them. It's like a reassurance in a sense, like I can go within and just tune in and just feel that it's like a loving presence, like knowing that they're there and guiding us, protecting us.
That's awesome. Cool. Thank you. Thanks for letting me kind of work on that. I like the question. Thanks, Rohit, for posing that.
I'd like to tell you my why.
Oh, well, let's do Aaron real quick. Aaron,
oh yeah, sorry, absolutely.
Sure. It's interesting. As the first time I ever heard the question, why would you look for them? And I realized now, as we're thinking about it, like we don't. If you understand them, like you don't have to look because they're already here. If you know that they're there, why look for them? So it's more of just tuning into them, or that one source. I mean, it's all one, right? But I guess everybody has their own perception of what's been told through eons and eons. But it's really just that source of spirit, knowing that there's something here to guide us. And at least what I try to look for it is more, make sure that I'm on the right path, to make sure that I'm making the right decisions and what's right for me. What is my soul really looking for? And how I get that answer is when I feel peace and joy and love. If I feel frustrated, if I feel discouraged, if I feel sad or upset, that shakes me up. So it's like, no, it's like when it's like that intuition we all have. And like when you have that gut instinct that says you should do this, it's like that's really that's how we connect to that, is through our emotions. And it lets us know that our emotions are our guidance system that connects us to that spirit. Even though we can't see them, that's, at least from I like to look at it as, that's the one thing we were given to always keep us connected to that. But we have to learn how to pay attention to that. And so using our intuition, using our gut instinct, at least now when I meditate, I make sure that I'm trying to connect to that so I can always feel that. So it's like I use the feeling as a guide when I can't see.
Cool. Got it. Your turn, Rohit.
I'm very curious. I have had a lot of questions. Ever since I was 13 years old, I have harassed my parents, my teachers, my friends with my questions. And they have been irritated and bugged. And so I've read tons of books because people couldn't give me answers. And finally, when I thought I had the answer, I started following a guru. I was 20 years old. 7 years later, I discovered that despite having studied some of the most ancient scriptures and texts of the world, having thought that I had the answers, having thought that I had arrived, I had in fact been deceived.
Wow.
So I realized that I had in fact been brainwashed and had been part of a brainwashed cult. And I came out of that realizing that I wasn't going to blindly believe anything or anyone. And with that, I learned
I want to hear that again. So you came out of what you call a cult, which was your.
And not everybody does. By the way, I call everything a cult. So
yeah, we went to the movie the other day.
Religions a cult. I call most politicians a cult.
That's right.
That's another story.
And then you told yourself again. What did you say? You told yourself
that I would not blindly believe anything ever. Until today, while I may have found answers, I continue to tear those answers down and want to start all over again, and always keep looking at things from different angles. I choose not to be locked into something. So although I'll speak to you with great passion about what I have discovered, in the next minute, I'm happy to unlearn it and say, hey, let's turn this inside out. Let's go the other way around. So I had a lot of questions, and that's where all the searching went on. It was only into my late 40s that I finally discovered how to listen to their inner voice and ask questions, because I found I couldn't trust people. I couldn't, they had all different opinions, and most of the times they weren't living up to their views and their ideas. I also found that there were all kinds of dark energies that I hadn't quite begun to understand that yet. And there were lots of ways in which people convinced others about their opinions, but they were often the wrong path. What was the right path? How do you know? What is the ultimate truth? What is the way to go? It just defeated me. And that place of defeat, that place of turn to surrender, that place of surrender turn to listening, that listening turn to that inner voice, which I think Aaron described beautifully. He says, when I hear it, it feels like peace and joy and love. And to me, those became the symptoms of the voice I needed to listen to. It became like almost I could identify now.
You said the symptoms.
Yes. So everything has a symptomology, a way it feels, right?
Okay.
So, for example, when you hear that voice in your head,
experience or something, you could say that could be another
experience.
word.
But I break it down to there are certain criteria, certain things you look for.
Yeah.
There are certain voices in your head which cause you to feel heavy. They are critical. They put you down. And in the course of my work with many clients and using hypnosis and doing past life regression, I've often come across a force that I now call the darkness. And people may call it the devil, they might call it demonic, whatever it is. But I find that most human beings have it in them. And that this voice in their head tells them that they are worthless, they are not good enough. It makes them doubt themselves. It creates chaos in their thinking. It clouds their mind with all kinds of stuff. And people tend to believe it. People tend to sit, because it's in their head, they tend to sit in a hypnotic trance, believing everything it's telling them. Now, I believe this is there not only in my head, in your head, but in everybody's head, including the great teachers we have around. So there is, however, another voice, which Aaron was talking about, and which Payam himself also talked about, and which I think Rumi and many of these great people were listening to. That voice is the voice that I call the voice of God. I don't look to angels. I don't look to anything else. I say it's the voice of God. And I have a reason for saying that.
You got it. Okay.
I'll come to that if you like.
Yeah.
But I find that to be my discernment between what I'm listening to, because that voice, if it is from the divine, from God, it uplifts you into a space of timelessness. It makes you, you lose track of where you are, of time. You're inspired, you're uplifted, and you feel incredible by the time it's like you're energized, not exhausted. So let me leave
I
it
think
there.
a lot of us can agree with the hearing or knowing or having a sense of that there's one that makes you feel great and can be positive messages and cheerleading, and then one that is like the inner meanie. And not only is it very creative in the things that it'll tell you, but it's also relentless. It's like a nonstop. I think Stephen Pressfield called it was like the Terminator. Like it doesn't care who you are. It's just going to keep on going, keep on going, keep on going. Or the Alien. He said it's like Alien or Terminator.
Yeah, it seems like if that voice wasn't sitting around, like why would we even look for anything else? Because we'd probably be okay. Like everything is just perfect. Like why do we need to search for something beyond us, or think we'd be very, very content with without that dark voice or without that subconscious or whatever, whatever everybody calls it. So I like that you got to that. And
and I'll add to that just real quick would be just having that experience, because we're talking about the law of polarity, right? There's that duality. There's light, dark, up, down, good, bad, and whatever you want to call it. And at least here in this dimension would be like, we need that. Like, how would we know, how could we discern what's right from wrong, good from bad, if we didn't experience that? And so that's where everybody develops their own values and where they want to go. Because if everything was all love and great, this earth plane would be definitely boring. There's no excitement. How many people like watching movies and get more excited about the drama and the defeat that happens in the hero's journey, and likes to see them come out on the other side? But if you watch the movie and he's always winning or she's always winning, she finds the love right away, he finds the love, and like, where was the conflict? And like Martina probably clicked the movie right off and do a Facebook Live on how terrible that movie was.
I want to add to that, like, there's some people who believe, and I'm not sure, because belief is an expired information. So it's like moment to moment you're evolving. But some people believe that we were all connected to that source and that energy, and then we come to the planet Earth and we're disconnected. So our journey is to find the path to it. That's why we're going through a lot of challenges and difficulties. And as you said, Aaron, like all this comparison, right and wrong. to get closer to it. But some people are so ignorant that they just want to live in surface level. They don't care about it. They just, call it, something weird, and they don't want to, because of the fear. But to be honest, I don't get bored if the whole planet Earth was love and peace and joy. I was, on the extreme side of being super positive, and then through this rock bottom experiences that I had, I feel like I am living as a human being more than being on that type of energy. I just want to fly, I want to be at peace and love. And to be honest, I was judging people, why everyone else is not at peace and love. And then I learned that people have different background experiences, and for me is to practice not to judge them. If I believe in oneness, how can I judge someone if they were into a big accident and they got traumatized, and unfortunately they're carrying that, they haven't healed it yet. So it's beautiful. Like, it's like, I think as soon as we set the intention and we are open to it, it's already there. We just kind of listen to it.
I would have an objection about this being open to it. If you don't,
that kind of threw me off too.
Because here's the deal: this voice, if it has its way, and I've dealt with hundreds of clients with this, and I've interviewed that voice, and I have talked to it, and I've said, if you could have your way with this person, what would you like to do? And invariably, if it's really pushed to, like, first it says, oh, I'd just like to make them, mess up their life, or I would like them to, be self-destruct, or I would like them to, different ways it says that. But I said, if you could really, really, really have your way, if this person didn't do all this spiritual stuff or prayer or whatever they do, what would you ultimately like to do? He said, I would kill them.
Ask the question again.
So this is not fun stuff we're dealing with.
Yeah, that was a great question. I think
it's a messy thing we're dealing with, right?
Yeah.
And so my question to you is, because I've always got questions. I got questions even for that darkness. I want to understand it. I want to know what the heck are you doing out here, right? I got questions for God. I got questions for the devil. So
it reminds me of the book Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill, where he has that conversation with his own internal conversation. He's just he wants to know, and he's asking those questions. Go ahead, Payam.
It's hypnotic trance in that book, and that hypnotic trance is where we all get fixated. We just kind of sit there like zombies, listening to the voice in our head. I say, no, challenge it right away, immediately. You don't let it mess with you. But anyway, I've come to an understanding of why it exists, and I've come to respect its place. Not follow it, not worship it, not honor it.
Talking about
but just respect the work it's doing, and the work it's doing is very interesting. It's like an opponent. If you were in a battle, if you were preparing for judo or karate or boxing or whatever it was, in that battle you would need a good opponent, and you need a worthy opponent, someone who's going to push you.
Sure.
Now, the problem is, because no one's telling us about this, we think this is ourselves. We think it's our own psyche and our own mind, and something must be wrong with me, and I must be this idiot, or somehow flawed or worthless. No, there's a voice in your head that is pushing you, and it's pushing you like down. Okay, now think about it. You go to a gym, right? And what do? You go on a treadmill. The treadmill goes one way, you go the other way. That's what strengthens your muscles. You lift a weight, the weight pulls down, you pull up. That strengthens your muscles. So if you understand what it's doing and how to combat it, you actually develop your spiritual power and become what I call a spiritual warrior. And that's where it lies, because you have to awaken your spiritual identity to be able to combat, to really do battle. And the battle is not a fighting battle, because you can't fight. It's a battle of a deep inner strength and a wisdom that awakens. It's a very different kind of battle. It's not about, you can say love, but not quite. You can say compassion, but not quite. It's a firmness. It's learning how to set boundaries. It's like dealing with a bully. Let me leave it there for now.
Let's leave it there for now. So this is the thing. So I'm hearing what you're saying, Rohit, and I mean, and the thing is that the conversation is about the guides, and it seems to me like you're saying there's no guide. It's just me inside.
I'm leading to that. I'm leading to that answer.
Yeah.
I'm establishing a base, and this is why I'm leading. Okay, let me just go there then.
Okay, well, stop. Okay, this is what I'd like to know from each one of you guys. Rohit's not right, and nor is he saying he's right. Okay,
Nope.
So, like, we can just let Rohit like say what he wants to say, and I got no problem with that. We can just sit there and watch him, and he can talk. But I'm interested in what you guys have to say. Like, I'm interested in what your thing is about this, or what your thing is about yourself. This is not a conversation where Rohit's going to take, and I could, Rohit and I have talked hundreds of hours. What is your thought about what is the topic? Do you have a different thought? I want to hear a different thought. Rohit,
well, I want to chime in about the concept of, because I do think that it is important to question and challenge, like, where is this voice or where's this thought coming from, or who is this personality?
But that's not. I don't want to talk about the thought in our head. We're talking about spirit guides, and we're going to talk about thought in our head. It's a different thing. This conversation is about the curiosity into spirit guides.
Yeah.
Okay. We're talking about two different things, guys.
Right. So there was a question that was raised though about like why would we use spirit guides? And for me, in my experience, I actually come from a family of preachers, pastors, ministers, and evangelists for like generations and generations and generations, and a lot of them are also involved in the military. So that's kind of one of the reasons why I am the angel warrior, because it's this push and pull. And I know that there are people who are not really on the God train. They're not feeling God. They are not really into it.
Yeah.
But if you tell them that there's an angel nearby that's friendly and might be able to help, then they're okay with that, So I have found that to help people transform and find a sense of peace, that working with an angel seems like it's something that it's a little bit outside of their comfort zone or what they might have been thinking already, and they're willing to lean into that. And, that's something that I think is really powerful and special. I mean, a lot of kids had an invisible friend. Who was that invisible friend? I don't know. Some people, I think it was an angel.
Yeah. Terrific. Cool. And I appreciate Rohit. Like, Rohit lets me challenge him. And I know, Payam and everybody does. So, and I love to sound rude. I'm really interested in like, what's there for you. Not like this is a conversation. I'm not interested in a conversation where we go in one area, because that's cool. That we can, I could have Rohit and I sit on the phone and just do it. So if you have something to say against it or something to add to it, please add to it.
Well, I'll go along with Kimiko. What she was saying is, I know for me getting into this whole concept and just having my experiences and asking questions and wanting to know more. And I think I was that same way. Like, if you said God, it was uncomfortable for me because I wasn't used to that. And that was based on a perception. It was my perception of how people portray that. And I think Rohit said it earlier. It's like some people preach it, but they don't practice it in their own life. And it's like, you can observe and see. So you're torn back and forth. So that was something that was more like, I guess, more comfortable for me, at least. I was like a guardian angel, spirit guide, and everybody has their own picture of it, what it might look like. It's just what our imagination can go. It's spirit. It's all imagination. We can create it however we want it. We're creating the image, but that was a little more comfortable. But as I started getting into this, it led me more and more to be more accepting of that concept of that one source, spirit, whatever people want to call it, source energy, universal intelligence. But I knew there was something greater. But then I also understood that it's all the same energy, as far as I know right now.
Yeah,
I'll find out later when I transition into this.
Yeah, make sure you reach out and let us know.
That's awesome.
And like Aaron was saying, it is all like energy, and I think it's how we said, like we interpret it. Sometimes based on the movies we watch, like, when you think about an angel, you think about this winged being, and like I sometimes see they're like orbs, and it's like a bright light, like little flashes of light, and sometimes like I could see it with my eyes, and they just pop up, and like, oh, like somebody's here or something, and it's energy. It's like an energy light. But we all have our own interpretation and experience of how what we attract or what we can see and things like that. I've also seen full body apparitions and shadows and just different things. And I think if you can tune into it, you'll receive whatever image is there.
Yeah, it's cool. I want to see how I'm kind of interested in how this all kind of comes together, because it's just like, how does this all exist together with like everybody else's truth? Like, you got a truth. I hear Rohit's going to say,
I'd like to weave it together when you're ready.
Concept, and I'm sure I'm interested in putting it all together so that it all can live together.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Rohit.
and it does.
Yeah.
You see, what I'm trying to get at is this: both things exist. The light exists, the darkness exists. There are non-physical beings that are from the light that are trying to help us. No doubt about that. Call them angels, call them spirit guides, call them as you will. There's all
What do you call
energies.
them? I'm interested in what you call them. What do you call them?
I just call them non-physical beings because I don't know. And they might be just coming as orbs, or they might be coming as lights. However they are.
I'm going to keep interrupting you. So what do you know about them?
What I do know is this: that they exist and that they are there to help us, that they have chosen to not be embodied and to support us while we're here on this planet.
Both the dark and the light?
The dark and the light. The dark doesn't seem to have so much of a personality. It seems to be pretty much the same in all cases. It has similar agendas, similar nature. It's more
one-track mind.
Yeah, it's more of an energy. It seems to be, only in a few cases have I come across something really that seemed personified, like really horrific, like you see
evil or something.
Yeah.
What did you say? One track mind.
A couple of those cases, but 99% of them was nothing like that. It was just a dark energy, and had a certain characteristic and quality. Now, point is, there are both these things. When somebody is not trained, and here's the danger and here's the risk, is they don't know what they're listening to.
Yeah.
They don't have criteria to follow. They just think that whatever is coming to them is some divine being. And it's not. That's the word of caution that I want to bring up.
That's cool.
You know?
I think that's important. I think that's really important to put in there, because the way that I liken it, because some people do, they're like, how do you know who you're listening to?
Yeah.
And they'll never say something that they want you to hurt yourself or someone else. I feel like speaking with an angel is like getting a babysitter. Look, you're not just going to go into Walmart or Target and just grab anyone in aisle 7 and bring them to your house and leave them with your newborn. Okay?
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
And there might be a difference between the people that you find randomly in the fruit aisle of Target and like that are like at the library or something. You know what I mean? Like, there's different places that you go for different types of energies.
Yeah.
And so I feel like, there are definitely people who are just kind of, as soon as they hear something, as soon as they like get any kind of message, they take that as, no pun intended, as the gospel. Like, they're like, yep, that's it. I think that it's very important to be discerning. And I think that that the friendly energies around you that I call angels they can have personalities, because that helps us interact with these beings of light. So when I say angel, I'm talking about a being of light that wasn't human. It's not like your auntie that passed on. It's not your grandma. I think that there's a place where those energies are there to help you as well. But when I'm speaking about an angel, I'm speaking about something that is a messenger of God. Awesome. And it gets awkward sometimes, but I've been trying to not be into this for a while now, and it's been like a decade. It's not happening. So I just had to acquiesce.
I think what you're saying, like the discernment and all that, is I have 2 boys. And I remember when they started getting into hip hop music, they'd play songs for me, and they're like, "Dad, this is a great song," and I'm like, "Yeah, not a good song," because they only know so much.
Yeah.
And how many times have you listened to a song, and then 15 years later you go, "Oh, that's what they were saying."
Or cartoons from our childhood. Oh my God,
all
what
that,
are they doing?
right? And I hear that's kind of what Rohit and Kimiko are saying. Is you're saying that there's, you can follow, you can listen, but at some point you want to step back and kind of figure out what it is you're like feeding yourself.
So that's the fine line here, Martine. We can listen, but we can stop ourselves from taking action from it. But what happens is that we are in automatic behavior, that we listen, we take action. We listen, we take action. We just don't create a gap right there. Okay, listen. What if I contemplate on it for a day? What if I contemplate on it for a week? And I feel personally, and my own experience and observing everyone else on their spiritual path, because this energy is so impactful, then they want to act upon it, and they don't differentiate between the light and shadow.
Say that again. Say that again. That was really cool. Say it again. Say it a different way.
When we hear something that's out of our brain and information that what we're used to, it's so impactful that we want to take action from it. But if we don't have enough experience and enough knowledge, enough intuition, we don't know which one is which, and if it's a light or if it's the shadow. And what happens that people get impacted by it, and then they start doing something. They start changing or making a decision. So I have learned to get that big shock and impact, but just sit with it. Just practice patience and practice kind of like embodying it to the time that I feel like, okay, I'm there, because that's again the spirit guide and then the heart action versus the brain. Oh, that feels joyful. Let me do that. Or this is bad. Let me stop myself. Like these are all, the intellectual part. So it's just how we can go beyond the mind and
Well, he is dying to say something. Go ahead.
Yes, because the problem with this is that when you're hearing this voice, you're in a very altered state. To hear it, you have to be in a very altered state. Your mind has to be very quiet. And the information that you're getting is hitting straight into your subconscious. It's like being in a hypnotic trance, right? Aaron brought up the thing about Napoleon Hill's book, and there he talks about that conversation with the devil, where he talks about how humans go into this hypnotic trance. We do this with our politicians, by the way. We do this with a lot of different things. We do this when we go to different religious congregations. We fall into this trance, and then the words go deep into our subconscious, and we don't question them anymore. What Payam is saying is very useful. I'm very glad you're able to do that you're able to sit with it, you're able to perhaps examine it, maybe look at it from different perspectives. I'm guessing here, and I'm conjecturing that perhaps you're able to question it or challenge it. But for most people, they don't. When it comes from within them, when our mind tells us something, we already believe it. Now, if something else came in there and said something to us, we'll think it's coming from us. We're just going to believe it. So unless you develop this,
or if it vibrates, if it seems the same thing, and if it vibrates consistent with what we're thinking of, like, so if I'm listening to hip hop music, and I know spirituality and hip hop music, two different things, but to break it down real simple, if I'm listening to hip hop music and it's talking about, excuse my language, bitches and hoes and stuff, but I don't even know what that word means, but I like the beat. I'm like, hey mom, it's like, that's what I'm doing. So you get lost inside that because it fits some version of how you're operating or what you think is correct and how you want to move forward. But it has a way of tapping into and delivering to you something that you're probably not interested in. To me, that seems like what you said at the beginning, Rohit, when you said I was being lied to, or whatever you said, like I was.
So the same thing's happening to us. You see how our politicians do it. They do it brilliantly.
They're good.
They identify the weak spot. They identify the pain point. The advertisers do it too. They identify your pain point, and then they sell to you on the basis of that. They know people are having a tough time in our economy, jobs, blah, blah, blah. So now they use that. These voices in our head know of our inner wounding, our human wounding, which is what I call the shadow. That's different from the darkness. The human wounding that we've had in our childhood, et cetera, et cetera. And then what they do is think if you have a cut here, and if you have a virus that then attacks that cut, now it infects it and causes gangrene. It makes it much worse. It exacerbates the whole thing. That's what those voices can do if you're not watchful. They will prey upon your wounding, your weaknesses, your areas that you're not so great at, and they will then magnify that to show you why you're a really worthless piece of crap and you don't deserve to exist.
Because there's no guidance. There's no guidance for it. It's like, you're going to let it run amok. It's just, it's right. Go ahead, Aaron.
Yeah. So as we're talking about, we're talking about dualities, right? There's light, there's dark. And now I'm thinking like someone who's watching right now is like, well, what do we do with all this? Mm-hmm. And and I just go through my experience of it because I asked that question. In fact, it was a couple years ago, just after Veronica and I got married, and when you ask questions, something you tend to find the answer to it. And so we got a blessing by a Swami. And the one question that I asked him, because it was just on my mind at the time, just different experiences, was, what is the darkness? Because if I am to understand how to, I guess we call it combat or overcome, it's like, I want to at least understand it. And because I asked that question, I got the opportunity to experience it, or at least see it. And through our work and understanding, the conclusion I came down to is, someone's going to say, well, how do I know? How do I stop this from even happening? How do I stop those thoughts from coming into my mind? If the thought is consciousness and thought is energy. And so as we transition, this energy is a form of thought. And how does it get into? It gets into our heads, right? It's telling us these voices. And thought lies on a different frequency. We have a feeling that amplifies that frequency. And so if somebody's in a very negative thought process, maybe they're thinking I'm not good, or I'm frustrated with something, they're in a very negative vibration. Now it's like your door is wide open for anything that matches that energy. You're listening to music that's very angry, very, very vulgar. And what kind of a state does that put you in? Now you're resonating at a vibration that allows that in. And just going through some past experience that I had to heal from, I realized, wow, if I don't want to experience that, we've heard those voices. I mean, literally not just in our head, but like sometimes we've actually heard them. I mean, I know Veronica has.
Well, also we had a digital recorder where we pushed record in our room, and we were processing some energies that we were feeling, and we heard a voice that was recorded, and it sounded creepy, but I don't know.
Right now.
It said it's me, like kind of creepy, like in a
I still have the recording somewhere. It's funny.
it was really weird.
But she was experiencing physical pain, because here's what happens. He hit it on the head, is when there's a weakness that's within you, and you're in a very vulnerable state, it'll attack the weakness.
Exactly.
So what do? It's like, if we learn how we were getting this right of free will, that was our gift coming into this world. We get the chance, the opportunity to choose. But we have to learn how to tune into that.
That's right.
We can choose, but we don't know what we can choose. We feel like we're choosing, but sometimes these thoughts or other people are dictating what we choose, and that's based on how we feel. And if we learn to change how we feel on the inside, heal and forgive things from the past, and start looking at things in a more positive light, I've understood that I don't experience those things anymore, because I've changed the way that I think, and I changed the way that I feel.
And your point of focus.
And my point of focus. If I'm trying to look for it, I'm going to find it. But if I'm focused more on the higher beings, the angels, the light, the good part of it, I choose to focus my attention there, because that's what I'm going to attract more. And so the more I feel good, I'm going to experience more. I'm going to invoke all that. Now, it's always there trying to get at you. But if you're listening more to that other voice, then it gets distracting. But you do have to pay attention to how you feel on the inside.
And if it doesn't make you feel good, that that's not from a higher source.
And that's just my experience of it.
That's right.
That's wonderful. So what I'm hearing, what I'm gathering from what everybody's saying is so the whole idea was spirit guide, right? That's what I said. Let's talk about spirit guides, right? But I hear what you guys are talking about is, what am I allowing to guide my spirit?
Thank you. Beautiful.
A whole different thing here.
That's beautiful. Got it. You're nailing it. That was brilliant. Fantastic.
I'm a good listener. Sometimes.
You just wrapped it all together. Beautifully wrapped it. Now I'd like to take that.
What's that?
Can you repeat it?
The idea was about, tapping into spirit guides, learning about spirit guides. But what I hear everybody talking about is, what are we allowed to guide our spirit? Like, that's what we're looking for. We're looking for a guide to our spirit, and that comes from outside and inside.
Yeah.
We kind of got the words maybe flipped around backwards.
Yeah. 2
Yeah.
points I'd like to bring up here. One, which you're referring to, Martine. If you want to know which voice to listen to, first tune into yourself. tune into your own spirit, tune into that place of peace within yourself, because from your spirit, you will recognize a being or energy of a similar vibration within you, not in your head, but within you, let's say your heart or something like, I don't know, but through meditation comes the place where you find that place of peace within yourself. From that place of peace, you will recognize what a voice is that is coming from the divine. The second point I want to bring up is a whole lot of this search for spirit guides is a result of this spiritual community that wants to avoid the word God. The problem is this: the word God has been defiled by religion. I say defiled because they have turned God, in my opinion, into a monster.
Sure.
And so many people all over the world have become either atheists or spiritual, but they don't want nothing to do with this God character that they created. As far as I'm concerned, the problem is not with God. The problem is with the people that turned God into a monster who sends people to hell and burns them and blah, blah, blah. You know the story. What if that was not true? And all of us know it in our hearts it's not true, that God is loving. God is pure, think of this word, unconditional love.
Unconditional love. Yeah, I agree.
You cannot do wrong in the eyes of God. Now,
So what's the part that you're asking? What if that's not true? Define that like in one sentence.
This idea that God is going to punish people. See, what we've done is, so let me get to the
What people have done is they said God will punish.
because
Got it. Not everybody does that. I know a lot of people that don't believe that.
They don't believe that. So they've turned away from that. And now they don't want to think of a God. You tell them an energy, a light, or nothing at all. They'll take anything but that.
No,
right?
I have friends that will say that have a belief in God and don't have it as something that they get punished by.
They're God
I have friends that are
definition.
Christians. I have a lot of friends that are Christians that are not into being punished. I have a lot of friends that are Jewish and every other.
Just ask them a simple question. If I don't accept Christ as my Lord and Savior, what happens?
Well, you know, I don't have a problem with. I personally don't have a problem with that.
You don't. What do they say?
What's that?
What do they say?
Well, they say what they say. Different people say different things. I can't speak for somebody. You know, I'm sure we could probably find somebody, but I'm not interested in telling somebody that they're wrong about what they believe because I have an idea. I personally am more interested in the fact that somebody has found a path that brings them joy. And it's like, listen, my kids listened to the wrong music for a while, but they smiled and they eventually said, yeah, Dad, I probably shouldn't listen to this music. Yeah, probably.
The question, Martin, is this: if it brings them joy, but it also makes them hate others who aren't of the same belief, then what kind of joy is it?
Well, right? You know, I think what you're referring to is what I call your judgment of how people should be. If somebody chooses to judge, and that's part of how this is my version of how I look at it. If that's what they're doing, there's an opportunity to learn from that. I mean, you can learn from that. You can learn from that. That's what I say. But if you don't have that, then you don't have that. And it's okay that you don't have that. It doesn't make you a better person because you're not judging somebody or not. You just have a different experience.
The point I'm making to you is not to do with those people. It has nothing to do with them at all. I'm talking about the rest of us who don't want to follow a particular religion, who've turned away from that and now are looking for guidance from spirit guides or whatever else we can get hold of, because now we don't have a God figure. We're looking for other figures. Now, because at least the atheist won't turn to anything, the spiritual person is more likely to fall into this category of looking for something to guide them. That's where they turn to spirit guides. Now, the question is, because there's no training, they don't know what they're quite listening to. My problem is, my issue with it is this. What if God was not the way, so this is now saying you don't need to throw the baby out with the bathwater. Just because some people said God's a certain way, God is not defined by those people. You can come up with your own version of what God is. And what if God was a loving God? And you could then tune into that directly rather than having to tune into some spirit guide who's supposed to be an intermediary. Why not go to the source? Why not go to the boss? Now, if that you think that that is an energy, go to the energy. If you think that is a being, go to that being.
And I find people that are that I'm just going to use the word Christian because that's kind of like we're in America. Like I'm not a Christian. I don't follow, I'm not John 3:16. That's not my thing. But I don't need that to be my thing. If that's somebody else's thing and that's what they want to do, I don't need to teach them to think about the way I think about stuff. Like,
you're missing the point, Martin. We're not discussing them. We're discussing the spiritual people.
Yeah, but when you separate yourself from them, when you separate yourself from them, you actually are talking about them.
My point is, who is searching for spirit guides? Not the Christians. It's the people who
I don't know that that's true. I know Christians that probably do.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting because I feel like when I'm out, sometimes I will be speaking at a place where nobody knew that I was going to be the speaker.
Mm-hmm.
And I've gotten a little insecure about it at times because some people, I will actually use angel cards and pass them out. And some people are like, nope. But also some people are like, well, why do you ask the angels? I teach people to say, angels, please help. And then say what they need help with. And some people come up to me after and they say, well, why am I asking angels? Why don't I just ask God? And then I'm like, oh, well, if you're down, go ahead and just ask God. I'm teaching everyone something else if they're shying away from that, or if they just need something else to feel more connected with. So I think it's cool that people can have a spirit guide or they can go straight to spirit. And I will admit that I do think that spirit guides, for some people, it might be like how some people are around alcohol, that they need to be a solid no and just stay away. Yeah. And other people can dabble or, go full force. So I think you need to know what's best for you and, also have a human being that you can also connect with and talk to and tell them where you are in your journey so that if it starts getting a little too freaky, they can help pull you back. So that's what I wanted to say about that.
And I think that eventually I think the deep conversation certainly takes us to questioning like, wow, is this true? Is this not true? Am I following a path? Am I being, am I drinking the Kool-Aid? And I think that's where freedom really, really lies when you're doing that. So the question that we had, and you said you could answer this question, is how does it all exist together? If what you're saying is you're saying that you're not talking about that, and I'm saying, okay, well, if we're talking about it, we're actually talking about everything, and everything's the same. How does it all exist together in the different philosophies?
I asked my spiritual master and I said, like, sir, how can I be with the materialistic world and the spiritual world? Because I have some goals in my planet Earth and I am connected to this. And I loved how simple he answered me. He said, he's practicing for the last 45 years. He said, the moment you separate this, you're not into the oneness philosophy anymore. So I want to, piggyback on what you said, Martin. Like, I used to judge other people's judgment, and that's still a separation. That's not part of the oneness. So the practice is, as a spiritualist, is how can I be with different interpretations? Because there's one reality and 8 billions of interpretations. So how can I be with their belief, and at the same time we can love each other, and at the same time we can support each other and thrive together. And my last sentence here is a Rumi quote that says, silence is the language of God. Everything else is poor translation.
Well, I'll tell you something funny too, is my version of what I think God is closer to Rohit's version than anything. So when I hear Rohit, it's almost like I argue with myself, it's like, because I'm searching. So I very much agree with what Rohit's saying. And I very much battle with the whole conversation of like, this is how you get to heaven, and, that whole thing. And that's interesting for me. And
for me, the other side of this whole question is what Rumi writes about: a romantic relationship with God, a relationship of the deepest kind of love, the most incredible love of all. It's the love we've been searching for. We've been calling it a soulmate. We've been calling for whatever. But if you really realize that what you've been searching for actually behind that soulmate is God. And then the answers you get when you tune into that highest energy, when you say, hey, can you talk to me? Like, if, talk to me, tell me this stuff. And you're there with an open slate, willing to listen. When you call on the highest energy, then you get the highest level of response as well. That to me is where I had to go, because I wasn't satisfied with the answers I was getting from other sources. So if you want those kind of answers, if you want the highest truth, then go to the highest source. That's what I'd say.
I heard both answers in that. I heard the answer of what I need to do is silence myself and look for something and look for a higher answer. And what I did is I opened up a Bible, or I opened up the Quran, or I opened up something, and I found it there.
It's there. Absolutely.
It's there. If I did it without any of that stuff, and I felt, and I had that experience, then that's where I found it.
That's right.
And that's how I believe it all works together.
That's true.
And I think Payam was talking about the tough thing is when we start to battle each other, my book is better than your book.
It isn't.
Yeah.
There is truth and beauty in every one of them. In fact, I say they're like a quilt. And if you can learn to see the beauty in each of them and weave them together, you'll begin to find all the layers of truth. There's incredible truth in the Muslim faith, especially if you go to the Sufis, in Hinduism, in Christianity, in the atheist. There's incredible faith in the homeless person. There's wisdom with the homeless person, with the child. Look for it. You'll find it everywhere. God is speaking through all of creation.
And like Rohit was saying about having that love relationship with God, like God is in everyone and everything, and it's finding that compassion, even with the people that make you angry, like have compassion for everyone. And, if you can find the beauty in everyone and everything, it's like you don't feel that anger towards people anymore, and you don't have that judgment. So it's really finding the beauty in everyone and everything around you, because we're in this creation and we are the creators. And they talk about hell and all that. We create our own hell in our mind by how we
here.
Yeah. And it's a practice. And that's what all these books are. There was guidance here when we first came in here. It says, here's how you live your life. You just have to figure out how to interpret it and practice in your own life. Find someone who can, but you use your guidance. But I think if we can be, and work in that likeness and being loving to all. And this is, I've been working with this for a few years now. I'm still working with it, and we do as best we can. But that's our journey. And I think the more that we understand that, okay, at least I have a goal that I want to strive towards, to be a better person, to be a more kinder person to everybody, to be more loving to myself. You got to start with there first. And when we can do that, a whole new world opens up for all of us. When we feel good, when we feel we're in that piece of joy, love, no matter what it is that we're doing, we gravitate towards what we're here to do, our gift to the world, whether it's in your career, whatever that is. If it gives you joy, that's what that is. People are trying to figure out what's that guidance. Well, what is it you really want to do? What gives you joy? What can you do every single day that will bring that love out of your heart to share and help other people, to be of service? And if you find that you're not happy where you're at, it's not that there's something wrong with that. You just haven't found that place for you. But that's where that guidance comes in. And we have to learn how to tune into that. Ask for help. We're here all together. It's like, I don't have all the answers. We don't have all the answers, but we all have different experiences that we can share with each other. And that's the beauty part about it.
And it's putting the ego aside and just allowing yourself, to ask for the help and, things like that.
Put the ego aside.
Like what Rohit said earlier, talking about all of these, going deep, listening to our intuition, and the next moment let go of this, and then just being unknown again. What happens, the disease is we're getting to these beliefs and we just leave that for a couple of months, a couple of years, or forever. But if I learn that, okay, and that's how meditation is helping. Okay, this is an image, this is a belief, and it's passing by, and next moment is a new consciousness.
That's beautiful. Let's all say goodbye. I would like to find out what you guys are all doing and let people know how they can get a hold of you. Let's start with Kimiko. What do you got going on, girl?
Oh, you know what? I am about to reboot my show, the Angel Warrior Vision Show. And the best way to reach me is, I would say, Instagram. I'm Angel Warrior Vision on Instagram. So
Nice.
send me a message.
Awesome. Payam?
thegapcoaching.com. That's my website. And I'm thinking of creating my webinar. It was a workshop, now turned to a webinar for bridging the gap of dream and fulfillment. I love that conversation because I don't describe it. It's just whatever comes. Every workshop looks different. So that's how people can get along.
That's awesome. Aaron and Veronica.
Right now, we are just really not revamping, but we're expanding our show, which is Awaken Your Spirit. It was on Facebook. Now we're on YouTube, and we're going to all different places right now. So be looking out for that. If you guys want to find us, just look at Aaron and Veronica on Facebook. You can connect with us there. And we're putting some really cool things together for people in the future. So stay tuned.
My brother Rohit, you got so much good stuff going on.
I just like to teach about love. That's it.
You sure do. And we're going to dive deep into love on Monday night.
Yeah.
We're going to take a deep dive.
So along with having written this book, Loving Soulfully, I believe in the highest form of love, divine love. And I believe that we have it, not only is it out there, but it's also in here, and it's there between each of us, and it's there with the entire creation. So I believe in learning how to love yourself, how to love another human being, and how to love the divine. So all of that comes together. And if somebody's interested in knowing more or getting a free copy of my book, which I'm giving away, they can just go to lovingsoulfully.com. It's ready now.
Awesome. Let me just take us out. Guys, don't go anywhere. I'll be right back. Hey, guys, thanks for hanging out with us. The whole thing started today. The whole conversation is a curious journey into spirit guides. And what I learned from all my friends tonight was I had kind of looked at it like there was a guide out there, like a spirit or something. And what I realized tonight is that what I've been looking for is, and I think most people are looking for, I kind of heard what they were saying, is how can I better guide my spirit? Not necessarily how can I find something that's going to tell me, but how can I have some information and be open to that information so that I could guide my own spirit. So I wish you all a beautiful night. Thanks for hanging out with us. And tomorrow we'll be back at 2:00, hanging out with an amazing friend of mine, Danny Levin. And on Monday, we'll be back talking about Loving Soulfully. That's Rohit's book. We are going to have a blast on Monday night. God bless you. Thanks a lot for hanging out.